Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestant. Player one. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Brevet.
Thanks, Johnny. Welcome to Jeopardy, everyone. Good luck to you in the Jeopardy round. For this game, the categories are as follows. Intravenous. Movie adjectives. Edgar Allan Poe. Asian countries. Debriefing. And Father of the Bride. Where do we begin, player one? We're not sure if it was ancient or not, but the first U.S. flyby of Venus was by one of these space probes in 1962. Yes, player one? No, that's not right. Here's the response we were looking for. Mariner. Please pick again, player one. Humorous poetry with irregular rhythm is known by this canine name. Let's hear it, player one. That is correct. We return to you, player one. 1989. The Blank Baker Boys. Here's what we were looking for. Fabulous. Select again. Poe won an 1833 short story contest with a story about one of these found in a bottle. Yes, player one? That's not it. Here's the correct response. A manuscript. Player one. Pick again. Answer. It's the Daily Double. You are in first place. Decide on your wager, player one. Answer this. 9 weeks before he died, this Broadway lyricist got his daughter to the church on time. Sorry. Here's what we wanted. Alan J. Lerner. Select again. It's the alliterative salutation that traditionally begins each entry of a girl's daily journal. It's player one. Yes. You again, player one. The first obituary of Poe, which spoke of the frailties of genius, appeared in this city's Sun newspaper. We're talking about Baltimore. Player one, you pick again, please. Dhaka is its capital. Here's the correct response. Bangladesh. Please pick again, player one. Venus's surface is hard to view from Earth because it's completely covered by these. Let's hear it, player one.
Yeah!
Right. Player one, back to you. 2000. The Blank Storm. Here's the response we were looking for. Perfect. Player one, back to you for our next selection. An alcoholic may suffer from this, from the Greek for mad thirst. Okay, player one. You got it. You get to pick again, player one. This steel man who gave away $350 million gave away his daughter Margaret at her 1919 wedding. It's player one. You got it. Select again. Here we play with the clue.
You'll find the palace seen here in this country's capital.
Here's what we were looking for. China. Select again. Days before the 1992 election, this candidate accused the GOP of trying to disrupt his daughter's wedding. Yes, player one? Nope. Sorry. Here's the correct response. Ross Perot. Please pick again, player one. Galileo's finding that Venus goes through these, like the moon, was the first direct evidence for Copernican ideas. Let's hear it, player one. Yes. Select again. 2011. The Blank Lady. Here's what we wanted. Iron. You get to pick again, player one. According to an 1833 description, Poe dressed entirely in this color. Here's the correct response. Black. Player one. Pick again. To slobber or to bounce a basketball. Let's hear it, player one. Good for you. Good. Back on the plus side. Select again. On November 14th, 1973, his daughter Anne got married at Westminster Abbey, with 500 million watching on TV. Here's the correct response. Prince Philip. Player one, choose again. 2005, The Blank Gardener. Here's what we wanted. Constant. Player one, back to you for our next selection. The world's largest blue coral reef is one of the natural treasures of this country's Ishigaki Island. Yes, player one?
Yeah!
That's it. Player one, back to you. In 2002, Ralph Steadman, who took a wild trip to this city with Hunter Thompson, went back to see his daughter wed. Here's the response we were looking for. Las Vegas. We return to you, player one. One of these on Venus lasts about 244 Earth ones. Let's hear it, player one. We're talking about a day. Player one. Pick again. 1969. The Blank Bunch. Yes, player one? No. Sorry. Here's the response we were looking for. Wild. You get to pick again, player one. Like Mercury, Venus has this many moons. Let's hear it, player one. Correct. Player one, you pick again, please. To a Londoner, it's a trash can. Here's the correct response. A dustbin. We return to you, player one. Norodom Sihamoni assumed its throne in 2004. Here's what we wanted. Cambodia. Player one, back to you for our next selection. In 1842, Poe reviewed this British author's Barnaby Rudge, which features, a human-like raven. Here's the response we were looking for. Charles Dickens. Player one, back to you. In November of 1976, the United States vetoed this reunited country's admission to the UN. It's player one. That's correct. Hey, you're on the plus side. And we'll wrap up the board with this clue. Poe's wife, who passed away at age 24, had this name, like the state at whose university Edgar studied. Here's what we were looking for. Virginia. The Double Jeopardy round will begin right after this. Clues are worth $400 to $2,000 in these categories. Daniel Boone. Spanning the Globe. Attraction. Tea Time. Movie Folk. And Theater Around the World. Let's get back into this now. You have control of the board. In some religious beliefs, it's the process of transference of a soul into another body at death. Yes, player one? Yep. We return to you, player one. Haiphong, Cam Ranh, and Dong Hoi are all important cities in this country. It's player one. Right. We return to you, player one. There's a method behind his founding of the Moscow Art Theater with Nemirovich Danchenko. We're talking about Konstantin Stanislavski. We return to you, player one. In 1778, Daniel Boone was taken captive and adopted by Chief Blackfish of this Indian tribe. Let's hear it, player one. Nope. Sorry. Here's the response we were looking for. The Shawnee. Player one. Pick again. Using adsorption, yes, with a D, activated charcoal in these military items attracts harmful chemical vapors. Here's what we were looking for. Gas masks. Player one, back to you for our next selection. It can mean to veer or to go sour as applied to milk. Player one? Yes. Player one, back to you for our next selection. He majored in journalism at Fordham before playing a newspaper reporter in the Pelican Brief. The correct response is Denzel Washington. Player one, back to you. This most populous African country's main ethnic groups are the Hausa, Fulani, Igbo, and Yoruba. Here's what we wanted. Nigeria. Player one, back to you for our next selection. The musical Les Mis didn't debut on Broadway, but in this city, its setting. Here's the correct response. Paris. Player one, pick again. At an altitude of 12,000 feet, this Bolivian city is the highest national capital. The correct response is La Paz. Select again. Here's Jimmy. He'll show you.
Performers in this traditional Japanese art of singing and dancing wear elaborate stylized makeup.
Here's what we wanted. Kabuki. Player one. Pick again. Let's go over to Sarah.
This St. Petersburg Palace is named for the first Russian empress with this name. The second one was said to be great.
Here's the correct response. Catherine. You again, player one. In a covalent bond, two atoms each contribute one of these to a pair, which is then attracted to the atom's nuclei. Let's hear it, player one. That is correct. Select again. It's a sustained pull applied mechanically to correct fractured or dislocated bones. Here's what we wanted. Traction. Player one, back to you. Rejected by USC Film School, this S in DreamWorks SKG now sits on the film school's board of counselors. Here's the response we were looking for. Steven Spielberg. Player one, you pick again, please. Ticklicker was Daniel Boone's nickname for this indispensable possession. We're talking about his rifle. Player one, you pick again, please. Answer. The first of the Daily Doubles. You are in first place. Player one, please answer. Made from fermented cabbage, radishes, red peppers, and spices, kimchi is the national dish of this land. That's not right. Here's what we wanted. Korea. You again, player one. Newton found that the degree of gravitational attraction between two masses varies inversely with the square of this, r. Player one? You got it. We return to you, player one. Another name for a billy club or a policeman's baton. Let's hear it, player one. That's not it. Here's what we wanted. A truncheon. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Jerry Maguire was originally written for Tom, not Cruise, but him. Let's hear it, player one. Good. You again, player one. A Dutch TV reality show picked the muscular swinger for the European run of this Disney musical. Player one? Yep. Select again. It's the T in ATM, or physicist Edward. Let's hear it, player one. You got it. We return to you, player one. In his poem Don Juan, this Englishman wrote 7 stanzas about Daniel Boone and his virile exploits. Here's the correct response. Lord Byron. You again, player one. He directed a landmark Chinese production of his play Death of a Salesman at the People's Art Theater in Beijing. Here's what we wanted. Arthur Miller. Player one, choose again. Bombicol. One of these attractant hormones is sort of the Calvin Klein obsession of the female silk moth. We're talking about a pheromone. Select again. Female deep-sea anglerfish use this, produced by bacteria, to attract prey. It's player one.
Yeah.
Right you are. Player one, back to you. Cleared under Daniel Boone's direction in 1775, the Wilderness Road passed through this famous gap. The correct response is the Cumberland Gap. You again, player one. Answer, the second Daily Double. You are in first place. Player one, give us a wager. Okay, here is the clue. This actor got his name by giving his mom a fetal kick while she viewed a Da Vinci work. You got it. Please pick again, player one. James Fenimore Cooper based this last of the Mohicans character on Daniel Boone. Here's the correct response. Natty Bumppo. And the $2,000 clue? To get orc war screams for The Lord of the Rings, this director put phonetic yells on a scoreboard for 25,000 cricket fans. Here's what we were looking for. Peter Jackson. You are moving on to Final Jeopardy, which will continue after these messages. Final Jeopardy still to come, and here's the category. Musical theater. So, what's your wager? Now it's time for the Final Jeopardy clue, and here it is. He's the only songwriter to have Broadway premieres in every decade from the 1950s to the 2000s. His first was in 1957. And your response? And that will lose you. We're talking about Stephen Sondheim. Player one, congratulations to you. Thanks for playing. We'll see you next time.